The deception. The Galactic Conclave had always considered humans as barely more than clever primates. For 3 centuries since first contact, Earth had maintained the illusion of technological inferiority, a calculated strategy that had served humanity well. While alien civilizations flaunted their advancements, humanity built in secret, waited, and watched. Commander Elena Reyes stood in the quantum observation chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean, one of Earth's many hidden facilities invisible to alien scanning technology. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing the approaching Trazaki fleet. 57 warships arranged in battle formation. Their hulls gleamed with what the aliens considered advanced alloys, their weapons charged with plasma energy that could reduce a continent to ash. Or so they believed. "Status report," Elena demanded, her dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of the tactical displays. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, her second in command, answered without looking up from his console. "The Trazaki delegation will enter Earth orbit in approximately 3 hours. Their communications indicate they expect our immediate surrender once they demonstrate their firepower." Elena smiled faintly. "And our facade. Holding perfectly, Commander. All they can detect are our primitive orbital platforms and outdated defense satellites. The quantum shield remains undetectable to their scanning technology." Jackson paused. "The Council has authorized the Nemesis Protocol." A murmur ran through the command center. Even among the elite officers who knew humanity's true capabilities, the Nemesis Protocol was spoken of with reverence. After centuries of preparation, they would finally reveal what humanity had become. "Very well," Elena nodded. "Prepare the fleet for dimensional shift on my command." 12,000 kilometers above, Supreme Commander Kazath of the Trazaki Coalition stood proudly on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. His scaled skin shimmered under the ship's lights as he studied the holographic representation of Earth, a blue marble that would soon join the 100 other worlds under Trazaki control. "Is this truly the homeworld of the humans?" he asked, mandibles clicking with amusement. "Their broadcasts suggest they still struggle with climate change and energy production. Their orbital constructs are practically museum pieces." His intelligence officer, Vrillax, approached with a data crystal. "Confirmed, Supreme Commander. Our deep scans detect no significant defensive capabilities. Their most advanced weapons are nuclear-based projectiles with minimal range and power. The species has potential but lacks the unified purpose needed for true advancement." Kazath made a gesture that among his kind signified dismissive confidence. "Send the ultimatum as planned. Demand their unconditional surrender and integration into our labor colonies. If they resist, target their largest military installation as a demonstration." "As you command." Vrillax bowed slightly. "Shall I prepare the cultural assimilation protocols?" "Yes. The humans will serve well in our mineral extraction operations. Their physical endurance is remarkable, even if their technology is laughable." The communications array transmitted the ultimatum to every major government on Earth. Kazath watched with satisfaction as his message reached the primitive species below. Their terror would soon turn to gratitude once they understood the benefits of serving a superior civilization. In the United Nations Security Council chamber in New York, representatives from around the world gathered to publicly address the Trazaki threat. Cameras broadcast their emergency session globally, and more importantly, to the watching alien fleet. Secretary General Amara Okafor stood at the podium, her expression appropriately grave for the billions watching. "The ultimatum from the Trazaki Coalition represents an unprecedented threat to our world. We have been given 24 hours to surrender or face devastating consequences." The Chinese representative spoke next, his voice trembling convincingly. "Our analysis confirms their technological superiority. We cannot hope to resist such power." One by one, world leaders expressed their fear and dismay, playing their roles perfectly in humanity's greatest deception. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Elena watched the performance with approval. For centuries, humanity had presented itself as divided, technologically stunted, and vulnerable. The quantum revolution of 2157 had changed everything, but that information had never left Earth. While aliens saw nations squabbling over resources, humanity had unified under a single defensive purpose: prepare for the inevitable moment when some species would attempt conquest. The Trazaki are broadcasting their ultimatum across all frequencies, Jackson reported. They're also scanning our military bases, no doubt selecting targets for their demonstration. Elena nodded. Let them. Quantum Command confirms the Nemesis is ready. All dimensional fleet units are standing by. On her command screen, a message flashed from the Planetary Defense Council. Nemesis Pero to Col authorized. How little they understand, Elena murmured. They think they're coming to conquer a primitive species. They're about to discover they've threatened a civilization that has moved beyond their comprehension. On the Eternal Dominion, Kazath received the reports of Earth's panicked response with satisfaction. The humans were frantically moving their primitive vessels, evacuating coastal cities, and broadcasting pleas for mercy. Such predictable behavior from an underdeveloped species. Supreme Commander, Vrillax interrupted his thoughts. We're detecting unusual energy fluctuations in their oceans and near their northern magnetic pole. Kazath dismissed the concern. Likely their attempt to activate some hidden weapons system. Nothing that can threaten this fleet. These readings don't match any known human technology, Vrillax insisted. And there's something else. Our long-range sensors are experiencing unexplained interference patterns. For the first time, Kazath felt a flicker of unease. He had conquered many worlds, and none had displayed unexpected capabilities at this stage. Still, the humans were merely activating their last defenses before accepting their inevitable defeat. Maintain battle formation, he ordered. Prepare to target their largest military installation in a region they call North America. The demonstration will remove any thoughts of resistance. As the weapons officer programmed the targeting sequence, a junior communications technician suddenly called out, "Supreme Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, but it's using our secure military frequencies." That's impossible. Kazath spun toward the main screen as it activated without command. A human female appeared, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform unlike any they had detected on Earth before. The insignia and design were completely unfamiliar. "Greetings, Supreme Commander Kazath of the Trazaki Coalition." The woman spoke in perfect Trazaki language, without any translation device visible. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of Earth's Unified Defense Force. We have received your ultimatum." Kazath's mandibles clicked rapidly in shock. "How are you accessing this channel? How do you speak our language?" Elena smiled slightly. "We've been studying your species for over a century, Kazath. Your language, culture, technology, and especially your weapon systems. Your secure communications have been transparent to us since you entered our solar system." "Impossible," Kazath hissed. "Our scans show your civilization is barely capable of interplanetary travel. Your defensive systems are primitive." "What your scans show," Elena replied calmly, "is exactly what we wanted you to see. The Trazaki Coalition has a documented history of subjugating species you deem technologically inferior, while avoiding those you perceive as equals or threats. For 3 centuries, Earth has maintained a carefully constructed facade while preparing for encounters like this." Kazath's confidence began to waver. "This is a bluff. Your primitive satellites and space stations can't. Those aren't our actual defenses," Elena interrupted. "They're props in a planetary-scale deception. Allow me to introduce you to humanity's real capabilities." The screen split to show an image of Earth from space. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the waters of the Pacific Ocean began to ripple strangely, as though something massive was rising from the depths. The revelation. The ocean parted as something impossible emerged from beneath the waves. Kazath and his bridge crew watched in stunned silence as a vessel rose from Earth's Pacific Ocean, a warship of unprecedented scale and design. Its hull gleamed with a material that seemed to absorb and redirect light, creating an effect that made it difficult to focus directly upon. No seams or joints were visible. The entire structure appeared to be a single piece of impossible engineering. "By the eternal void," whispered Vrillax. "That vessel is over 15 kilometers in length." Kizath couldn't speak. The ship that now hovered above Earth's ocean was more than twice the size of his flagship. But size wasn't what caused his blood to run cold. It was the unmistakable sense that he was looking at technology beyond his comprehension. "Allow me to introduce the ESS Nemesis," Commander Elena Rice said, her image still on their communication screen. "Earth's primary defensive vessel, and the first of our dimensional fleet to reveal itself." Dimensional fleet. Kizath finally found his voice. "What deception is this? Our scans detected nothing of this scale on your planet or in orbit. The Nemesis exists partially in dimensional space beyond your scanning capabilities," Elena explained with the patience of a teacher addressing a slow student. "What you're seeing is merely the portion that interfaces with conventional spacetime." As if to punctuate her statement, the massive vessel began to emit a soft blue glow from recessed lines along its hull. Sensors on the Trazaki ship screamed warnings as energy readings spiked beyond their measurable scales. "Fleet Admiral," a tactical officer called out in panic, "the human vessel is scanning our entire fleet simultaneously. They've penetrated all our defensive systems." Kizath's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress among his species. "Impossible. Our shields. Your shield technology relies on modified Hertzian field generators," Elena interrupted, "a design your species acquired from the Krell Confederacy 2 centuries ago. Effective against conventional weapons, but transparent to quantum-phased energy." The revelation that humans knew the origin of Trazaki shield technology sent a wave of murmurs through the bridge. How could they know such classified information? "You've been watching us," Kizath realized, his voice hollow. "All this time. Since your first scout ship entered our solar system 300 years ago," Elena confirmed. "We've studied every species that approached Earth, the aggressive ones, like yours, most carefully." The tactical display suddenly chimed with urgent alerts as new signatures appeared around Earth, dozens of smaller vessels emerging from what appeared to be folds in space itself. Unlike the massive Nemesis, these craft were sleek, predatory in design, and moved with impossible speed and precision. "Our escort fleet," Elena explained, "each vessel specialized for different combat scenarios. You'll note they're positioning themselves in a defensive formation around Earth, not an offensive one against your fleet. We're giving you an opportunity, Kizath, something your coalition rarely offers species you deem inferior." The implied critique wasn't lost on Kizath. The Trazaki coalition had built its empire through intimidation and subjugation of less advanced civilizations. Never had they encountered a species that had hidden its true capabilities so effectively. "Supreme Commander," Vrillax whispered urgently, "our weapons systems are reporting malfunctions. All targeting arrays have been locked out. We cannot fire." Kizath's eyes widened. "How?" He turned back to the view screen. "What have you done to our weapons?" Elena's expression remained neutral. "A simple quantum interface override. Your weapons control systems utilized binary processing cores, quite advanced by conventional standards, but vulnerable to quantum manipulation. We're preventing you from making a regrettable mistake, Kizath." On the screens behind her, the Nemesis continued to rise until it hovered at the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Its size dwarfed anything in the Trazaki fleet. More concerning to Kizath were the strange distortions that seemed to surround the vessel, as though reality itself bent at its presence. "What do you want?" Kizath finally asked, his earlier arrogance completely evaporated. "The same thing we've wanted since your species first entered our awareness," Elena replied. "Peaceful coexistence. The Trazaki coalition has conquered 37 worlds and subjugated their populations. That ends today." As if responding to an unspoken command, The Nemesis suddenly accelerated, covering the vast distance between Earth and the Trazaki fleet in seconds. The massive ship came to a stop directly before Kazath's flagship, close enough that it filled the entire forward view screen. Panic erupted on the bridge as proximity alarms screamed. The human vessel had moved faster than anything in the known galaxy, violating what the Trazaki understood about physics and propulsion. Impossible speeds, the science officer muttered. Their inertial control technology must be centuries beyond ours. From the Nemesis, a focused beam of blue-white energy lanced out, not as a weapon, but as a scanner. It swept across the eternal dominion, penetrating every deck, every system. What you're experiencing, Elena continued, is a comprehensive systems analysis. The Nemesis is cataloging your technology, comparing it to our existing database. We do this with every new species we encounter. Kazath felt the blood drain from his face. You're treating us as specimens, not specimens, potential friends or potential threats. Elena's expression softened slightly. The Nemesis could have destroyed your entire fleet the moment you entered our solar system. Instead, we're talking. As she spoke, holographic displays appeared across the Trazaki bridge, showing detailed schematics of their own vessel, but with modifications, improvements, notations in human language. We've already determined 47 critical improvements to your propulsion systems, Elena explained. 39 ways to enhance your shield technology. 23 flaws in your life support redundancies that could prove fatal during extended deployments. The message was unmistakable. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were demonstrating how completely they understood Trazaki technology and how easily they could exploit its weaknesses. Outside, the rest of the human fleet had taken position around the Trazaki armada. Each Earth vessel emitted the same strange blue-white energy, scanning, analyzing, learning. Kazath recognized the strategic brilliance with growing dread. The humans had placed his entire invasion force in a perfect encirclement without firing a single shot. Supreme Commander, the tactical officer reported with a trembling voice, we're detecting energy signatures from the Earth vessels that match nothing in our database. Their power output exceeds our entire fleet combined. If they attack. Kazath raised a hand to silence him. There was no need to voice what was now obvious to everyone on the bridge. If the humans decided to attack, the Trazaki fleet would be annihilated. You've hidden among the stars, Kazath said, his voice barely above a whisper. Watching, learning, advancing in secret. Why? With this level of technology, you could have established dominance over the entire sector. Elena's expression revealed nothing. Because dominance was never our goal, Kazath. Survival was. Humanity learned long ago that true power lies not in conquest, but in understanding. We've been watching the stars since before your ancestors first looked skyward. The reckoning. The bridge of the eternal dominion had fallen completely silent. Kazath stared at the human commander on his view screen, centuries of Trazaki military doctrine crumbling around him. His species had always equated technological advancement with conquest. The strong dominated the weak. It was the natural order. Yet here were the humans, possessing technology that made the Trazaki fleet look primitive, and they had hidden it for centuries. I don't understand, Kazath finally said. If survival was your concern, why reveal yourselves now? You could have maintained your deception. Elena's expression softened slightly. Because your coalition forced our hand. You came to conquer what you perceived as a vulnerable species. We're showing you the truth to prevent bloodshed. Yours. Outside, the Nemesis continued to hover before the Trazaki flagship, its impossible size and design a constant reminder of how thoroughly Kazath had miscalculated. The smaller Earth vessels maintained their perfect encirclement of the invasion fleet, each one emitting energy signatures that defied Trazaki understanding. Your civilization has a crossroads before it, Supreme Commander, Elena continued. The Trazaki coalition has expanded through intimidation and force for centuries. Today, that expansion ends, not through war, but through revelation. As she spoke, new holographic displays appeared on the Trazaki Bridge, showing star maps of the known galaxy. Points of light began to illuminate across the display, thousands of them, scattered throughout Trazaki space and beyond. Each of these points represents a human observation post, Elena explained. For centuries, we've maintained a network of quantum-entangled monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. We've watched every major civilization, learned their languages, studied their technologies, and prepared accordingly. The implication struck Kazath like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just been watching the Trazaki. They had been everywhere, invisible, gathering intelligence on every spacefaring species. This is why we maintained our facade of technological inferiority, Elena said. It allowed us to observe without being perceived as a threat. The few scouts who discovered our true nature never returned to report their findings. That casual statement sent a chill through Kazath's body. How many Trazaki exploration vessels had simply vanished over the centuries? How many other species had experienced the same? What happens now? Kazath asked, the question that would determine the fate of his fleet and possibly his entire civilization. Elena's response was measured. Now, you have a choice. The Trazaki coalition can continue its path of conquest and inevitably come into conflict with powers beyond your comprehension, not just humanity, but others who have chosen similar paths of hidden advancement. Or you can embrace a new role in the galactic community. Behind her, on the human view screen, new images appeared, technical schematics for technologies beyond current Trazaki understanding. Energy systems, propulsion methods, medical advancements. These are gifts, Elena explained. A small fraction of technologies we're willing to share with species who choose cooperation over conflict. The first step in a new relationship between our civilizations. Kazath stared at the schematics, recognizing their potential even with his limited understanding. A single one of these technologies could advance Trazaki science by decades. Together, they represented a generational leap. And if we refuse? He asked, already knowing the answer. Elena's expression remained neutral. Then you will leave Earth space immediately and never return. Your conquered worlds will be liberated with or without your cooperation. The coalition, as you know it, will end. It wasn't a threat. It was a statement of inevitable fact. Kazath could see the truth of it in the impossible vessel that hung before his flagship, in the human fleet that had appeared from nowhere, in the technology that made his most advanced systems look like a child's toys. After a long moment, Kazath did something unprecedented in Trazaki military history. He bowed his head to an alien species. We accept your terms, Commander Reyes. The Trazaki coalition will withdraw from Earth space and await further communication regarding these gifts. For the first time, Elena smiled. A wise decision. Supreme Commander, a human delegation will contact your government within 30 standard days to begin the transition. Until then, we'll escort your fleet to the boundary of our solar system. The transmission ended, leaving Kazath staring at his reflection in the darkened screen. Around him, his officers remained frozen in shock, their understanding of the galaxy fundamentally altered in the span of a single encounter. Supreme Commander, Vrillax finally broke the silence. Your orders? Kazath turned to face his crew, his mandibles set in a new determination. Prepare the fleet for departure. All vessels will power down weapon systems and follow the course the humans provide. And when we return to Coalition space, asked his tactical officer. Kazath's gaze drifted to the view screen where the Nemesis still hovered, a monument to how thoroughly they had underestimated humanity. We will tell the truth, he said quietly. That we encountered a species that could have destroyed us with a thought, but chose to offer friendship instead. And we will prepare for the changes that are coming. As the Trazaki fleet began its retreat, escorted by human vessels that seemed to flicker between dimensions, Kazath found himself wondering how many other secrets the galaxy held. How many other species had chosen humanity's path, hiding their true potential behind facades of primitiveness. For the first time in his military career, the vastness of space filled him not with the thrill of conquest, but with humility. On the bridge of the ESS Nemesis, Commander Elena Reyes watched the Trazaki fleet beginning its withdrawal. Around her, holographic displays showed every vessel in perfect detail, monitoring their compliance with retreat protocols. "Do you think they'll honor the agreement?" asked Admiral Chen, the overall commander of Earth's defense forces, his holographic form projected from the Quantum Command Center beneath the Himalayas. Elena nodded slightly. For now, the psychological impact of what they've witnessed today will keep them compliant. Long-term, the technologies we're offering will begin the transformation of their society. Within a generation, conquest will no longer be their driving purpose, and the revelation of our capabilities. After 3 centuries of secrecy, the Admiral's concern was evident. "It was inevitable," Elena replied. "The Trazaki won't be the last aggressive species we encounter, but the message will spread. Earth is not the primitive world they thought. The next would-be conquerors will approach with more caution." Admiral Chen's hologram nodded thoughtfully. "The Nemesis Protocol has been initiated. There's no going back to complete secrecy now." "No," Elena agreed, "but that doesn't mean revealing everything. The Trazaki have seen only what we wanted them to see, impressive, but far from our true capabilities." She gestured, and the holographic displays shifted to show Earth's complete defensive network, thousands of quantum-linked stations throughout the solar system, dimensional gateways that could deploy the full human fleet anywhere in the galaxy within moments, and technologies that even the demonstration today had kept hidden. "Humanity will continue as we always have," Elena said, watching the retreating Trazaki ships, advancing in the shadows, revealing only what serves our purpose. Today, a show of force served us. Tomorrow, perhaps something else. As the Nemesis began to phase partially back into dimensional space, its massive form becoming translucent against the backdrop of stars, Elena allowed herself a moment of reflection. The long vigilance of humanity would continue. They would watch, learn, and prepare, as they had for centuries. But today, for the first time, the galaxy had glimpsed the truth. Beneath humanity's careful facade of primitive technology and divided nations lay a unified civilization whose advancement had never been driven by conquest, but by the most powerful force in the universe, the determination to survive in a dangerous cosmos. The Trazaki had come expecting to find easy prey. Instead, they had awakened a slumbering giant, one that had never been asleep at all, but watching through half-lidded eyes, biding its time. And the galaxy would never be the same.